And welcome to another edition of After Hours with Defo and Lubie. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz with you on the Believe networks all around the universe. And it's always a pleasure for us. So while we've been kvetching and moaning and convincing ourselves that we are destined to a life of self-sabotage over various wagers that we did not make over the last week or so, including whiffing on backwheeling epicenter in the Kentucky Derby. That only cost me 2,000 Lubie for the 19 I would have had to lay out. And then, of course, when Stephen A. Smith declared that Dallas had no chance and was going to get blown out on ESPN in Game 7 against the Phoenix Suns, why didn't we jump on the money line? Because we're stupid. That's why, because we're stupid. Because we haven't realized that either go completely against your own instincts and or especially against the media's. And that's why it's always a pleasure to have somebody, a man of distinction, when it comes to these sort of degenerate matters here on After Hours or any platform that we perform on. And that would be, as we welcome in from Bet Basics. Why didn't we just consult Bet Basics, Lubie?
That's the move.
And we could have avoided all of this agony, all of the sessions with the therapists, all of the mind-altering drugs. We welcome Lenn Robbins to the program. Lenn, how are you, my friend?
It's great to be here, but I wouldn't give up on the therapy, the mind-altering drugs, and all the other stuff, too.
The therapist is a little expensive compared to even the drugs today, especially with the legalization of medical marijuana, which is then long overdue and, is running rampant in Florida. It's funny because you see, I don't see my neighbors anymore. They used to be out at barbecues, but now they're all at the drug dispensary in Lighthouse Point. You see people you haven't seen in years. Hey, Mo, how the hell are you doing, man? I thought you were dead. No, I'm doing fine here. I'm just smoking this stuff. Lenn, how are you? And were you there? Were you at Game 7? Holy Win Elliott. Were you at Game 7 the Rangers and the Penguins at Madison Square Garden? It seemed like the roof was coming off that building.
I was not there, but I got to tell you, and I've been in the Garden. What times can I count? I've actually fallen asleep in the freight elevator. I honestly believe that out of all the events that they have there, when you have a Game 7 with the Rangers, that's the loudest that place is. I mean, I was there in '94 when they won the Cup, and my hearing's never been the same.
No, and it was great performance, and really unfortunate that they ended up losing this first game of the series to Carolina. I mean, I was living and dying with it. I mean, we had a bet, and it wasn't a bet that was so much of a monetary consideration, but we just didn't want to lose to this rat that made the bet against us with our Florida Panthers. And we have a friend who covered the team for a while, and he got very sour with management. So he believes that they were going to, fall to, the weight of history and lose that first round series. So he bet us at dinner. We don't even care if we ever eat. We just had to beat him. But wow, what a tough beat that was in the Carolina game. I'm watching and living and dying with every minute there because, of course, I have some Ranger blood in my system. And a goal late, like inside the final 3 minutes, and then the lose in overtime. That was a tough way to begin.
It is a tough way, but and it's really interesting because I watched that game last night. I read some stuff this morning, and everybody's talking about what a wonderful game that the Rangers played, right? And how those first 40 minutes. That's like saying that the first 6 innings, you pitched a no-hitter, and then your bullpen came in and blew it.
Yeah.
60 minutes. You got to play 60 minutes, and they didn't. Everybody knew that Panthers team is. I'm sure that Hurricanes team is lightning waiting to strike. Right? They've got 4 lines. They go after you for 60 minutes. They didn't last night. For the first 40 minutes, I don't know what was going on there, but it's a 60-minute game. Rangers didn't play 60 minutes, so but that's the way it goes. You go to overtime on the road, you're going to lose.
I felt worse, because I grew up a Ranger fan, and it was one of the few offerings on TV in terms of sports television. Of course, you had the great Win Elliott calling the games, and I was telling a story the other day about I finally had, landed a job, and I was going to get my first network stringing shot, and as I was, about to go on with Win Elliott, who was hosting like something on the radio called CBS Sports Saturday. I was going to give a preview of a Dolphin game. I was holding my, at the time, infant son, and he threw up all over me just as they threw it to me. Literally, I was covered in baby vomit. So, and that was kind of emblematic of how the whole career would go, to tell you the truth, to this day. But I felt as bad after this Ranger loss to Carolina the other night as I did when I believe, I want to say I was actually at the Garden as a kid when the Gump got hit in the head by an egg thrown off the third level there and went down at the other end of the ice, even though the action was in the other team's zone. And I don't believe he was ever the same. He was like seeing bugs after that for the rest of his then shortened career.
You know, your vomit story is very interesting because I remember when I first became a father, right?
Yes.
I'm at a restaurant with my wife, another couple, their kid, of course, my little geezer. And my little geezer was a human puke-a-thon when he was young, right?
Did he scream a lot also? That would have been a double whammy.
No, I wasn't a screamer, but he was a puker. And he'd look at me and I could just tell it's coming, right? So I grab him and, because you want to get out of the restaurant, right? You don't want to keep puking in the restaurant, right?
Sure.
And I get out the door and I happen to look over to my left and there are like 4 just absolutely beautiful women in like their young 20s, right?
Oh, no.
And I'm holding him, right? And they give me like this beautiful look like, oh, there's a father, like, really tending to his kid. Like,
Yes.
women love that, right? To see that, son. And then he just hurled into my face. I mean,
I know the feeling.
and the thing is, and you don't appreciate this until it happens to you the first time, right? How could it be that they're like 10 pounds, but they could hurl like 140 pounds of food?
My kid was spitting up pea soup like it was Linda Blair that day. I mean, it was unfortunately in The Exorcist. But yeah, I mean, it sort of, tells you what life is all about. I was mentioning this earlier this morning, one of my father's favorite sayings, and it really does depict what reality is all about. Lenn Robbins, he said, cast ye bread upon the water, and ye shall get back soggy bread. And that's kind of what life is, isn't it?
Then we get it.
Which is what the Ranger fans got back the other day. All right, Lenn Robbins with us, of course, Bet Basics. Tell us a little bit about what Bet
Yes,
Basics again,
please.
because it sounded fascinating. So I want our listeners and our viewers to catch this.
It's a really cool site, and what we do is you come to our site, and we already have it laid out for you, right? Like, who's got the best odds? Is it FanDuel? Is it Caesars? Is it DraftKings? For any bet that you want to make. So we take all the work out of it for you, right? You don't have to sit there and like jump from site to site to site. And look, I just started there, so what we're doing now is we're going to be uploading a lot of really fun content on, games that are going to be going on, NFL season. Can the Jets really be that bad again? Can the Jaguars really be that bad again?
Can.
Jet fans and Jaguar fans are both nodding and saying, yeah, they can. Is Stephen A. Smith going to be right about the Dallas Cowboys? Next time I bump into Stephen, I'm going to ask him, where did that hatred for the Dallas Cowboys start? I don't know if it was, I know he's a Philly, New York guy. So, I don't know, is he an Eagles guy? And therefore you have to hate the Cowboys, or is the whole America's team thing? I don't know. It seems like there's like a personal, emotional scar there.
Yeah, it was my favorite thing with the Cowboys, besides all the shots of Jerry Jones in agony towards the end of ball games, was Chris Christie, like shoveling hot dogs in his face while wearing an undersized Luke Carnesecca sweater as he was standing next to Jerry Jones in another Dallas Cowboys bitter defeat.
Why hasn't Chris Christie entered the Nathan's hot dog eating contest?
It's never the fat guy, though, that wins.
Yes,
It's like
it is. Like
Kobayashi, right? He weighed 120. He was, one of the early opponents of Manny Pacquiao when he fought as a flyweight. And, those are the guys that win. as opposed to, guys like me that should be able to shovel 100 hot dogs in their face, but can barely eat two. Especially, you have to have the fries with it too. See, that's where the
That
contest
sucks.
is totally bogus. If you're not
Yeah.
eating Nathan's French fries, you're not living. All right, let's talk a little baseball here because it's red hot in New York, where you are, and we're such a brilliant sports writer for those many years for the New York Post, and of course, still dabbling right with the New York Extra, still involved there, and now cashing big tickets with Bet Basics. So love the progression here. You've made more of internet free agency than Neil
Yes.
O'Donnell did in the NFL, I believe,
Yes.
Lenn Robbins.
Yes.
Just cashing
Yeah, I'm like,
contract after contract.
I'm like Kirk Cousins, an average guy who just plays the system well.
Well, good for you. That's better than the legends that get underpaid.
Exactly. We greatly admire this quality. I mean, we've been trying to get there our entire
Yeah,
lives
well,
too, and I'm thinking maybe late in life it might happen to just be overpaid to give out opinions that could end up costing your adoring public a lot of money. But I mean, here's one. Who would Brian Cashman, rather get a phone call from? Lisa Meanwell or Aaron Judge's agent at this point?
Look, to me, of the two teams, the team that I'm kind of most surprised about is the Yankees. I really thought coming in, the Yankees had some real question marks, and I think they still do have.
Who are these pitchers? Who are these guys? Yeah, where would they get this rotation from?
Who are these guys? As much as Yankee fans, deservedly so, soured on Gary. Not only can I not hit, but I can't throw anybody out, and I love to let the ball go through my legs. Sanchez. You look at the catches, the combined offense of the catches now, not very good at all, right? You wondered about the pitching. And although Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton, got back to it last year, you wondered, okay, so now is that like, a one-year wonder, or is he back to the slumping Giancarlo Stanton? Well, you look at that lineup. I mean, how do you get through that lineup? And right now, most teams can't, but you guys know this as well as I do. Once you get to September, October, can you pitch?
Yep.
Right? What's your pen like? Can you pitch? And the Yankees have been a real pleasant surprise. I mean, they're about as good as a baseball team can be this early in the season.
Len, and I wanted to move to basketball, but Defo bringing up the Yankees, of course, makes me think about the Mets, because you always lament the Mets, and Defo sort of lamented the Mets growing up, out in the Long Island area and parts of New York where Mets havens. They've come out strong. What are Mets fans up there like? Because we know Mets fans are lovable loser kind of mentality where they just embrace the losing. Are they waiting for it? Because his team's come out playing really well, and that division's sort of underachieved. They're sort of coasting at this point. What is the temperament around Met fans at this point?
Up until yesterday, I would have told you that it's absolutely different than it has been maybe ever, or maybe in the last 10 years or since 86 when they last, won a World Series. Because you're right. They're winning so often. The division is so bad. And, all the money that Steve Cohen spent on them has paid off very wisely, right? But, then, hey, DeGrom still hasn't pitched. Scherzer yesterday took himself out of the game, right? Their bullpen also a little bit suspect. So if the MRI later today comes back bad news on Scherzer, then I think Mets fans know exactly where the Prozac in the medicine cabinet is.
There it is.
Ma, nurse. Yeah.
But right now, there's this sense that Steve Cohen will make it right. Like even if Scherzer is going to go on the shelf for a little while, even if they say that DeGrom's still progressing, there's this sense that he'll just open up the wallet more. It's really an interesting time to be a Mets fan.
Not the Wilpons. A disgrace. Joan Payson rolled over in her grave every time that name was mentioned by anybody on the air, in a column, or just in general. So, hey, let's hope it works out. My friend Ira, the Met fan, I talked to him. He's like 85 years old, this guy. He's been in love with the Mets and is obsessed with the Mets, as many New Yorkers are. And I called him, and his wife told me he couldn't come to the phone because he was on a dilaudid drip in anticipation of the collapse. And,
Just waiting.
just waiting for Godot, my friend, down here in God's waiting room in South Florida. Lenn Robbins, Bet Basics, our special guest here on After Hours with Defo and Lubie, Jeff DeForest, and Mike Lubitz. All right, in the baskets, I don't know. I mean, Knick fans, Celtic fans, I mean, is that still a giant rivalry? I mean, are Knick fans inclined to root for the demise of the Celtics and even embrace the Miami Heat, who at one time were their most despised rival, at least for a brief period of time, when they had those series? And can you think back, I mean, to that Allen Houston series where, you know, it was like 71-69 and people were celebrating the offensive explosion? Compared to today, I mean, just absolutely insane. But who would Knick fans be more inclined to root for to come out of this series, the Heat or the Celtics?
God.
Nah, look, hey, you should know this. You should know the answer to that question. If you are a true New Yorker, if you are a true New York fan,
it's Boston, right?
You cannot root for Boston unless they're playing like the Bin Laden.
I was going to say
tag team. They're lining up against Putin's army. Yeah, exactly. Even then, it would be like a toss-up, you know. Yeah.
And look, like, you know, for the record, like, you know, I think Jason Tatum is just, you know, a breathtaking player, right? You know, all the talk early in the season that, you know, he and Jaylen Brown can't play together, right? The new coach can't do it, right? You know, it's been fun watching this team come together. Brad Stevens, you know, of Butler fame and then, you know, Boston fame. And now he gets to, you know, sit in the big office with a couple of televisions and, you know, do whatever, you know, team executives do. Hopefully they're on betbasics.com. No, I didn't say that, Aaron. So I did not say that.
I think Adam Silver is. I believe he had money on one of those Heat games against the 76ers.
By the way, I know this is a terrible segue, but did anyone have money on the Flames-Oilers game?
Yeah, what was that?
What was the over-under on goals? What was it? Was it 14?
Yeah, exactly.
It was like an NHL All-Star game score. It was great.
I couldn't believe it because I did not stay up for that game. You know, I woke up, you know, I don't know, about an hour and a half ago and, you know, flick over to ESPN and see 9-6 and thought, wait a second, did I just get like the, you know, the Angels, you know, Rangers score or something?
There were many wise guys, you know, and who are we to argue with them that thought Calgary. In fact, I was looking at the scribes in the New York Post who did I think they had 3 people selecting the outcome of the Stanley Cup and all of the different series. And I believe 2 of the 3, I don't think Larry Brooks was one of them. He might have been, though, had Calgary winning the whole thing.
The whole kebab.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool because, you know, look, I understand why, you know, when Wayne Gretzky, you know, went from Edmonton to LA, right, that ushered in the hockey expanding in America. And I understand it for the sport, you know, for the league, I should say, maybe not the sport, but for the league, you know, that was really good. But hey, the sooner that they can get the cup back to Canada, particularly like a small market team like Calgary, the better. Right? I mean, all that I can tell you is there are 2 things I'm certain of, right? If you want to rob a home in Calgary, just wait for game 2 because everybody is either at the game or like out in the parking lot or something watching the game, right? And how great it would be to see a celebration in Calgary with the cup. I just think that would be unbelievable.
I don't know that I could identify not being you know, great at geography and certainly no student of it when I was in school. I mean, where the hell is Calgary? It's out there on the west coast somewhere. Where is it? What's near Calgary?
Where is Calgary?
What
are Buffalo still roaming there? I mean, what's going on there? Tumbleweed blows by your door when it's not frozen.
That's great.
No, but where is it? I don't even know. I'm being honest, Len. I mean, you know, 71 years old. Where the fuck is Calgary? I guess would be the question.
It's just like they say at Toronto Raptors games, right?
Yeah.
Lead the North. All that any American knows about Canada is that they're North. They're up, right? Look up.
Yes.
Canada, right? They don't threaten anyone, right? They have great universal health care.
Yes.
Really nice flag. Maybe, in my opinion, the best anthem
The better
in
national
the
anthem.
world.
Yep,
right?
I love their anthem.
Always sung by some Robert Merrill type,
Yes.
with a bad hairpiece. Have you noticed that? I mean, if you have a big voice, you automatically have to have a bad hairpiece to do the Canadian anthem at a game.
I've never told you guys this, but you know how like we all like have certain things we aspire to do that we have no right ever doing, and hopefully we never will do it.
For sure.
Yeah, various women.
The national anthem. I would.
There you go.
I would love to sing the national anthem before a Canadians game.
Really?
The problem is
Wow.
I can't do it in French. Yeah.
That's your problem.
Canada. Oh God, it's cold outside. Yeah, we never knew the second line of that song. It was kind of like "Oye como va," like what were the next words? I mean, only Santana, Carlos knew him. But yeah, we always thought it was "Oh Canada, it's fucking freezing outside," and it was. Like, unless you wanted to be on Dangerous Catch, there was no reason to live in Canada, or aspire to be a top-notch hockey player. But no, that was a wild game. They scored 2 goals inside of like either 51 or 53 seconds. The Calgary Flames were up 2-0, and I want to say that they lifted the goalie who had I think pitched a shutout in the Game 7 of the previous series that they won. So. I mean, it was an NHL record was set in that game, and then it ended up. I mean, I'm amazed because it was 3-1 when I tuned in, and I'm amazed that it became a contest at all. But Edmonton, right? Connor McDavid. See, we would have no idea. Is this guy really like the best player in the NHL right now, Connor McDavid? Would you have any clue? Have you seen him much Edmonton hockey this year, Lenn Robbins?
Yes, I have, and I do believe he is the best player in hockey. And they didn't report this yet, but that was the first time in NHL playoff history that it took an NHL goalie longer to put on his equipment than it did the same game.
Well, it seems like he might have got something crushed up in there, when you occasionally started to put on a small cup, if you were going to get behind a plate.
You couldn't stop it.
Wow, something was bothering him.
I don't want to sound like I'm trying to film like Airplane 1 all over again, right? They talk about, have you been in a men's locker room? Have you ever been in a hockey locker room?
I have, yes.
I have not.
Yeah, it reeks usually. Okay. I mean, of sweaty hockey gear.
Yeah. If the Germans had the smell that comes out of a hockey locker room, we would have lost World War II. Okay. All right.
You would rather sniff the guy's jockstrap, literally, than the gear that's all schwitzed out there.
My son played youth hockey, right? And I can't tell you, so like they start at like 5, right? When they can barely skate. So a lot of the kids are going like 20 miles an hour. They're slamming into the boards, no brakes, right? You cringe. I've seen mothers walk into a hockey locker room for the first time and literally like turn white. Their legs go loose, like,
Start hurling like your kid. Vomit projectiles, yeah, all over. I thought you were going to say went all over the babes. That would have been an unfortunate, turn of events in that particular incident. All right. Do you have any thoughts on Phil Mickelson not defending his PGA championship and this whole Saudi thing, and Greg Norman in honor of the fact that we are in action in our golf betting pool in the PGA tournament that gets underway today? And actually, I guess I think Tiger's already teed off. Because did you feel like a measurement on a seismograph there in New York, as we did down here, with the massive amount of attention that's being paid to this man? I believe he teed off at like 9:11 or something like that Eastern time this morning. But what do you think? I mean, all of this. I mean, for Greg Norman to say that we all make mistakes, when asked about whether he was, sports washing the Saudis and some of the atrocities, it did seem like a little bit of a stretch for a golfer, even for a golfer.
No, wait. I want to make sure I know what you're asking me. Do I think he should be there, or do I think?
Oh, Mickelson. We don't know what's up with Mickelson. Is he suspended? I mean, the PGA is more secretive than the KGB. What's the deal with this guy? Can he play? I mean, all of a sudden, he's like mysteriously withdrawing a defending champion, an historic moment in sports history. And this guy's not coming back because, he might have made a few comments that people didn't find favorable.
Okay. So Phil Mickelson is following what I call the Hollywood script, right?
Yeah.
This happens all the time, right? Celebrity A is caught at 3:30 in the morning, slumped over the wheel of his Bentley, right? Police, respond and find 3 envelopes of white powder that somehow gets lost. So it's never confirmed that it was cocaine, right? And the statement comes out like the next day saying that Celebrity X, is going to check into Trembling Hills, right? And address his or her personal issues as they go through a difficult time, and we thank you for respecting our privacy. Okay, that's what Phil's doing. Okay,
So it's
so instead
banging
of
the nurses at that
what's the
recovery place for his sex addiction.
right, whatever it may be, right? And once things have remember, there still is a lot of, when I say bad blood between Phil and the PGA.
Yes.
This is the PGA Championship, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, right.
And you're absolutely right. I don't know if the PGA more or less told him don't even think about it, right? Not a good time, right? I mean, the commissioner just announced that he wasn't granting guys, releases to go play in the, whatever it is, the Saudi Arabia Slaughterhouse Open. So
they behead people at the first tee instead of introducing them. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's so crazy. I think Martha Mitchell was easier to find than it is to figure out what the status of Phil is with the PGA Tour. Len, always a pleasure. Bet Basics sounds great. I mean, they do the shopping. You used to have to hire some schlep to go all over Las Vegas on the strip there. Did you go to Binion's? I heard there was 3.5 at Binion's. And now you can find all of this out and do all your shopping there on Bet Basics, plus get all kinds of other great information. And your insights as well are always roundly applauded all around the universe. Thanks so much for joining us here on After Hours with Defo and Lubie. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Really is. All that I know is I'm taking the over on the next Flames Oilers game.
So that'll be 1-0.
Exactly.
You'll be invited on the Stephen A. Smith show. Yeah, that'll be great.
I'm going to parlay that with the Rangers getting blown out in Game 2. You reap what you sow.
I don't want to see that. But, we're on, edge tonight, of course. We've had to take all of the sharp objects out of play. Because going down 0-2 to the dreaded Tampa Bay Lightning, it's the one in-state pro rivalry that actually really does have some bad blood dripping between the two teams and is of significance to the fans. And I can't figure out how an area like ours keeps getting smoked by teams from Tampa. That's just the way it is. They're far superior to us in virtually every category. Len, we love you. Thanks so much for being with us. Bet Basics, we're all over it. And we'll talk to you again real soon, my friend. Thanks so much for doing this for us.
Guys, have a great one. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
All right, Lenn Robbins, ladies and gentlemen. Always insightful. Bet Basics, man. You don't have to worry about, hey, we're going to get 2.5, man. Louis got 2.5. Or we can get some of those lines that our good friend Tony Segreto gets from our Ion Channel show, the Defo Show, which you can catch 7 to 9. We have a big edition coming up tomorrow, by the way, if you're a fan of our After Hours program. Imagine us during regular hours.
There you go.
When we haven't already played out all of our material, it's fresh at that point. But we will have our Degenerate Friday edition tomorrow, which Google the Defo Show, DEFO, and you can find our Degenerate Friday offering, which will feature Kate and Bradar of TVG, outstanding analyst on thoroughbred racing with the Preakness coming up. And also, we have a thing called the Professor's Big Board, the professor picking USFL games for us right now as a stone cold degenerate. And then comes up with just hysterical sports sarcasm, the likes of which we don't know how he's doing it week after week. But you can catch the archives of that and get a little taste for it. Just Google the Defo Show. Look at any of our Degenerate Friday offerings there. Just check your calendar there. And check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's how we'll leave you today with even more ideas to contemplate. Lubie, you have a great day. We'll be with you again tomorrow here on the Believe Network. And until that time, let me tell you that if you're rooting for the Panthers or the Heat tonight here in South Florida, people don't go into it without the notion that you got to believe.